away. I know the Fitches are away. In Michigan, they were in Michigan, in the Chicago area. And they, I'm sure, were in church up there today, and we miss them. And they should be back by Wednesday night. And so pray for them as they travel and as they make decisions for Trish's brother and his care. And they ask that we pray for their youngest son, that he be saved. So remember them in your prayers. And want to remember our missionaries that are on the field and those that we support. And I know the James are still getting health care down in Florida. And so pray for them. The Lord would provide all their needs for their health care and get them back into good health. I know we can get exposed to a lot of things when we get out of the United States because we don't have a lot of things here, and we've defeated some things, diseases, and the next thing you know, if we get out of the United States, our immune system's not ready for it. And so they sometimes get exposed to things that we never will. And so pray for them. The Lord would heal them of that. And I know the Ellises are still in Ireland, and they are having vision problems and health problems. So pray for them also. Remember July the 11th, the anniversary service at Blessed Hope Baptist Church in Sedalia, Kentucky. Brother, I believe it's Randy Titus is pastor over there, and they're having a meeting at 10:30 July the 11th in the morning, of course, 10:30 a.m. And so they have invited those who wish to come. July 16th through the 18th will be the conference at Faith Baptist in Murray, Kentucky. And I'm not sure about the times. Look on the board out there. And so we're invited to that also if you have the time and are not working and are able to go. Friday, July the 31st, the fellowship will be in our church at 7 o'clock. Brother Jason Henderson will be preaching. And so we look forward to that and are in preparation for that even now. So if you have special music you would like to sing or play that night, the door is open. It's available to you. And we'll probably get the choir together also and have a little choir practice and prepare a song for that night. Remember Cadillac Baptist Church, Cadillac, Michigan, and pray that the Lord will give them a pastor and give them growth, that the Lord will prosper. And we want to remember Mia Kraus. And, pray for the Kraus family going through something that I haven't heard exactly yet, but Mia has been diagnosed from what I understand. So pray for Mia and for the Kraus family. I know I missed some stuff. And the Bibb family, that's Ashley's family, I suppose, or it wasn't Kevin's direct, but Ashley's, lost an uncle, and so pray for that family also. I know they are missing their uncle. Let's go to the Lord in prayer, ask his blessings on the service, and Brother Gene, would you open the service for us? And Brother Charles, still sick, and so remember him in your prayers also. Let's stand and we'll sing 234. 234. Jesus will walk with me down through the valley. Jesus will walk with me over the plain. When in the shadow or when in the sunshine, if he goes with me, I shall not complain. Jesus will walk with me, he will talk with me, he will walk with me. In joy or in sorrow, today and tomorrow, I know he will walk with me. Jesus will walk with me when I am tempted, giving me strength as my need may demand. When in affliction his presence is near me, I am upheld by his almighty hand. Jesus will walk with me, he will talk with me, he will walk with me. In joy or in sorrow, today and tomorrow, I know he will walk with me. Jesus will walk with me in life's fair morning, and when the shadows of evening must come, living or dying, he will not forsake me. Jesus will walk with me all the way home. Jesus will walk with me, he will talk with me, he will walk with me. In joy or in sorrow, today and tomorrow, I know he will walk with me. Amen. You may be seated. Turn to number 74, Saved by the Blood. And if that saved is too high for you, sing Glory, I'm Saved. Glory, I'm Saved. Saved by the blood of the crucified one, now ransom from sin and a new work begun. Sing praise to the Father and praise to the Son. Saved by the blood of the crucified one. Glory, I'm saved. Glory, I'm saved. My sins are all pardoned. My guilt is all gone. Glory, I'm saved. Glory, I'm saved. I'm saved by the blood of the crucified one. I think I'm singing that wrong. So, how does it go? Glory, I'm saved. Glory, I'm saved. I'll hit a lower note, maybe. We'll try one more time. All right, here we go. Glory, I'm saved. Okay. My wife shakes her head at me. I know I've messed up. I'll try again. All right, second verse. Saved by the blood of the crucified one, the angels rejoicing because it is done. A child of the Father, joint heir with the Son, saved by the blood of the crucified one. Glory, I'm saved. Glory, I'm saved. My sins are all pardoned. My guilt is all gone. Glory, I'm saved. Glory, I'm saved. I am saved by the blood of the crucified one. That was so good, I'm going to leave it alone.
That's good, because I don't know if I had enough for 2 more saves. Squeaking and cracking, trying to get that. Well, I wanted to just point out all the effort that Darren has put into our sign out front and making screens for it. It's a kind of a trial and error process, and finding out which size font and letters and colors are easy to read. And so pay attention to it when you leave today. We've been tweaking it even today and making it look better, and pray the Lord would use it and use the words. We have a great outreach here with the thousands upon thousands of cars that go up and down this road. And who knows, we also have just some basic information of our church, that we're Sovereign Grace, Landmark, Missionary, and King James Bible. You never know what people are looking for. Obviously, they need the gospel more than anything, but just pray the Lord would use it. And also, we have some tracts. Steve, I asked him to take care of getting us some tracts. My wife likes to have a good gospel tract. We have some in the rack, and Bella stamped our church name on the back. So if you want to take some, have them in your car, ladies, in your purse. My wife, it's funny because she has those bags to give out. I don't think she's giving one out, because when we drive by someone who needs them, she don't have the bags. And then when she has the bags, there's nobody there ever at these corners that she's waiting. But then she's always like, I need some tracts in my purse that I can hand out. And so, of course, she never has the right purse or the right, but she's got some tracts now. So her excuses, I'm limiting this excuses down anyway to give out some tracts. So there are some back there on the table and in the track rack. So I'll pick them up and take some with you and keep them where you can give them out. So in our study of 1 Samuel, and we're in chapter 22 is where we left off, and 21, excuse me, is where we left off and started in 22. And David is now hiding in the land of the Philistines in the city of Gath, which is interesting because he's there where the king of that region certainly knew who David was, and so he goes there, and this is where he acted like he was insane. And in order to save his life, when who he was known in verse 13 of 1 Samuel 21, it says he changed his behavior before them and framed himself mad in their hands and scrabbled on the doors of the gate and let spittle fall down upon his beard, and then said Achish unto his servants, Lo, ye see the man is mad. Wherefore have ye brought him to me? Have I need of a madman, that ye have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? And so he's questioning there all this, and so David, it was let go, or they turned him loose. And therefore David departed and escaped to the cave of Adullam. And when his brethren and all his father's house heard it, they went down thither to him. So I think that David, growing up in this region of, if you ask me, I can tell you a lot about Michigan. Every now and then I might get on a road in Michigan I haven't been on, I mean, not that I've been on every road, but I've been on a lot of roads traveling on my job, and sometimes I even get on a road down here and I'll say to my wife, I ain't been on this road yet. Because my brain works in a weird way. It's just all kind of visual, and I kind of just know, hey, I haven't been here before. And I know pretty much that I'm lost sometimes because I'll go, I don't recognize anything. So, but David knew this cave, probably knew well of it, and hid there. And he wrote this psalm or prayer while he was in this cave. So look in Psalms 142. It's a very short psalm, just 7 verses. But you know, when David was in great distress, he had left without anything. He really didn't have anybody he could trust, for the most part, other than his family. He didn't have anybody that was going to help him with Saul's army, or, you know, Jonathan was his friend, but Jonathan couldn't do more than what he'd already done. And it says here in verse 1, Michal of David, a prayer when he was in the cave. He's verse 1. I cried unto the Lord with my voice. With my voice unto the Lord did I make my supplication. I poured out my complaint before him. You know, it seems like that's sometimes the only time that we really, really pray or pour out our heart on the Lord is when we're really in trouble. And that's a shame, isn't it, that we don't really take time to talk to the Lord and to cry out unto him. It says, I showed before him my trouble. And the Lord knows all of our trials and all of our troubles and everything that he would allow to come into our life. But we still need to bring them before him and ask him for not only strength and help, but for guidance. What do we do? What do we do about this? I mean, David, you know, he didn't know what to do. He says, verse 3, when my spirit was overwhelmed within me, thou knewest my path in the way wherein I walked, and they privily laid a snare for me. He said, they're privately seeking about to kill me, to arrest me. And he said, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And we can get that way where we just don't know what to do. Not even sometimes how to pray. And the wonderful thing about it is when we don't even know how to pray, it says that the Spirit prays with groanings that cannot be uttered for us. Makes intercession for us. Sometimes I don't know how to pray, and I'll just say that. Lord, I don't know what to pray for. But I know that your will is best. He looked on my right hand, and beheld that there was no man that would know me or help him. Refuge failed me, and no man cared for my soul. I mean, he had to go to the priest to get some bread. I'm certain that maybe he'd stopped along the way, and there were people like, no, I'm not helping you. But he went and what? He got the bread from the temple. And then in verse 5 it says, I cried unto thee, O Lord, I said, thou art my refuge, and my portion in the land of the living. Attend unto my cry, for I am brought very low. I mean, Jerry was talking about Elijah being under the juniper tree. And it's amazing how he could go from such a great demonstration of the power of God, killing 450 false priests of Baal with the sword himself, and then be afraid of one woman. That he got so discouraged and depressed, walked off a whole day's journey in the desert by himself and found that juniper tree and sat under it and wished to die. Just wished to be, just take me home. And he said here, he says, I'm brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are stronger than I. As we said, he didn't have anything. Saul seeks to kill him, and he really doesn't have anybody to help him at all yet. He's in this cave hiding like a prisoner, and he feels like a prisoner because he says that in verse 7 here. He says, bring my soul out of prison, that I may praise thy name. The righteous shall compass about me, for thou shalt deal bountifully with me. You know what? He trusted in the Lord. He said, you can bring me out of this mess, and you can cause the righteous to rejoice with me and be around me. You can deal bountifully with me. You know, he trusted in the Lord for deliverance and for help. And what a wonderful prayer that he wrote while in this cave. So we see in 1 Samuel chapter 22 there, verse 2, that it says, everyone that was in distress and everyone that was in debt and everyone that was discontented gathered themselves unto him, and he became a captain over them. And there were with him about 400 men. So I think this is part of the answer to prayer, that Lord just burdened these people and said, go to David, go to David. He gathered this misfit army of 400 men, and God used their trials and struggles in their lives to cause them to turn to David. And David knows that all his family are at great risk, and anyone that would help him or be sympathetic toward him would be at great risk. And no doubt Saul could use them. He could use them as bait to cause him to surrender, or he could just kill them out of spite. And his parents, his brothers. In verse 3 it says, David went thence to Mizpah of Moab, and he said unto the king of Moab, let my father and my mother, I pray thee, come forth and be with you till I know what God will do for me. And he brought them before the king of Moab, and they dwelt with him all the while that David was in the hold or in the cave. So he just takes his mom and dad, obviously his brothers are with him, maybe their wives, their families, but he's got 400 men probably with their 400 fighting men, and plus their families. It must be a good-sized cave. And so he's waiting on the Lord, but he takes his mom and dad to the king and says, would you take care of them, the king of Moab, until I know what the Lord would have me to do? David feared for his parents' lives, and so he asked for safety and protection. He waits upon the Lord, and God sends a prophet to him to speak and give him instruction. And you know, that's the hardest thing, I think, would be to just sit and wait sometimes. It's, you know, I'm not a patient person. I'm not. But sometimes we just got to wait. Just so, Lord, I'm not doing anything. You know, imagine you just said, I'm going to stay put in this hole of the wall and the rock here and just wait. Wait on the Lord. In verse 5, God sent the prophet of Gad, said to David, abide not in the hole, depart and get thee into the land of Judah. You know, he didn't necessarily, where do I go? What do I do? God sends a prophet and says, time to leave, time to get out of here and go back to Judah. David departed and came to the forest of Hereth. When Saul heard that David was discovered and the men that were with him, now Saul abode in Gilbreth under a tree in Ramoth, having his spear in his hand, and all his servants were standing about him. Then said Saul unto his servants that stood round about him, hear now, ye Benjamites. It's interesting. He's name calling. You know, that's a lot of what our world is at today. Just, he's basically calling all of his men Benjamites, and they weren't all Benjamites. Will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and servants, and make you all captains of thousands and captains of hundreds? He basically saying, you're traitors, you're followers of David, you're supporters of him. That's to his servants. He says, that all of you have conspired against me, and there is none that showeth me that my son hath made a league with the son of Jesse, and there is none of you that is sorry for me. Poor Saul. Or showeth unto me that my son hath stirred up my servant against me to lie in wait, as at this day. I mean, his character is so revealed here. He's a grown man, probably well into his 40s, maybe 50s, and he's acting like a spoiled child, asking these men if they think David will give them wealth and property, and why they don't feel sorry for him. I mean, he's acting like a crybaby, because he's envious, so envious and so jealous of one man, and his hatred has overtaken him. This evil spirit is controlling his emotions to a great level, and there's one man with him. Remember Doeg, the head of the chief of the herdsmen, that had seen David with the high priest? Well, none of these other men have spoke up or said anything, but he's there. Then answered Doeg the Edomite, which was set over the servants of Saul, and said, I saw the son of Jesse coming to Nob to Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub. And he inquired of the Lord for him, and gave him victuals, and gave him a sword of Goliath the Philistine. That's not even really all the truth, because really there's no indication that Elimelech asked the Lord or inquired of God for David. He just basically asked what he could do for David. Then the king sent to call Elimelech the priest, the son of Ahitub, and all his father's house, the priests that were in Nob, and they all came to the king. So all of Elimelech's house and all the priests of Nob. And Saul said, Hear now, thou son of Ahitub. And he answered, Here am I, my lord. And Saul said unto him, Why have you conspired against me, thou and the son of Jesse, in that thou hast given him bread and a sword, and hast inquired of God for him, that he should rise against me to lie in wait, as at this day? Then Elimelech answered the king and said, And who is so faithful among all thy servants as David, which is the king's son-in-law, and goeth at thy bidding, and is honorable in thine house? Did I then begin to inquire of God for him? It's a question. Be it far from me. Let not the king impute anything unto his servant, nor to all his house of my father. For thy servant knew nothing of all this, less or more. He didn't really know what was, he obviously could suspect it, that something was awry. And the king said, Thou shalt surely die, Elimelech, thou and all thy house, all of his family, all of his children, grandchildren. Even after the priest tells Saul that he didn't know really of the problem, or he thought that he was his son-in-law, and thought, that he was taking what David said, and he said he didn't inquire of God for him. But Saul was so fully eaten up with this rage and hatred that he's going to kill all the high priest and his family and all the other priests. And even at that it went on. Verse 17, And the king said unto the footmen that stood with him, Turn and slay the priest of the Lord, because their hand also is with David, and because they knew when he fled and did not show it to me. But the servants of the king would not put forth their hand to fall upon the priest of the Lord. That was a real tough decision. You think you got tough decisions to make sometimes. You think it's hard to stand for the Lord. We think sometimes, it's really hard to make this decision. I might offend my family. This is the servants of Saul, and he's just basically given them a command to kill these priests, and they don't do it. He could have just took one of them and just started slaying him himself, saying, you're going to disobey an order from the king. But they feared God more than an order from Saul. The servants of the king would not put forth their hand to fall upon the priest. So why didn't Saul just do it? Why didn't he just turn and kill the priest himself? I was thinking what Jerry talked about. Elijah killed those 450 priests of Baal by himself with the sword. And so, really, Saul's a weak man. He wants others to do it. And then Doeg steps up to the plate. Verse 18, he may have wanted more favor, more power. And the king said unto Doeg, Turn now and fall upon the priest. And Doeg the Edomite turned and fell upon the priest. All the others wouldn't do it, but Doeg did, and slew on that day 75 persons that did wear the linen ephod. That's 45 priests that worked in the temple that day, but one of the sons of Elimelech escaped. And Doeg also goes on and kills every person in the town, man, woman, child, and every animal in the city of Nob. You talk about a slaughter. And all because of the hatred and jealousy and envy of just one man. Verse 19, And Nob, the city of the priest, so all their families and everything that were in that city, smote he with the edge of the sword both men and women, children and sucklings, infants. I don't know how a man does that. I don't know how, I mean, the evil that can be in this world and the evil that can take hold of a man we saw a lot of it with the Jews 100 years ago in Europe, but to kill infants. I mean, I can't imagine killing women or children. I've never taken the life of another man I didn't know, but just to walk up to a total stranger and just run them through with the sword, and then turn and kill their family, and then just the wicked waste of just killing all their animals. Why would they do that? But they did. I mean, they did it so anybody that heard about it would be afraid to ever help David, right? Because who's going to help David after they hear of this? That's really what it was. It's fear by imitation, intimidating through just horrible slaughtering of people. And one of the sons of Elimelech, the son of Atab, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. And Abiathar showed David that Saul had slain the Lord's priest. And David said unto Abiathar, I knew it that day when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would surely tell Saul, I have occasioned the death of all the persons of thy father's house. I don't know how David dealt with that, because he knew when he was in that temple and in that city, he had been seen. And he knew who Doeg was, and Doeg knew who he was. And he knew that there was going to be, probably because of that, some fallout. Probably could never imagine that, what it would happen, how bad Saul would be to just wipe out a city and wipe out all the priests and their family. He says here in verse 23, Abide thou with me, fear not, for he that seeketh my life seeketh thy life. But with me thou shalt be in safeguard. Now you think about back why David took his mom and dad to another king that he wasn't friends with, and said, will you watch my mom and dad till I know what the Lord would have me to do? He knew the hatred that Saul would have and what Saul might do even to his parents, and maybe the way that they might die. A lot of times death wasn't always done quickly. There was torture involved and a lot of bad things involved. But he was worried about his mom and dad. Now he tells this man, they that seek thy life seek my life, but thou shalt be safeguard here with me. So the danger of turning away from serving the Lord. We look at this, and it's just amazing to me to think how when Samuel anointed Saul, he was almost a shy, humble young man. He was a good-looking, tall man, but the day that he was to be crowned king, remember, they couldn't even find him. He was hiding. He was hiding, and they had to go find him to bring him out. And God blessed him so much in the very beginning of his rule over God's people. But look where he's at now. Slaughtering babies because he hates one man so much. That's his son-in-law. And you think about the grace of God, that in what we would be if we were left to ourselves and we just let sin reign, how far we may go. We need to always remember how weak we are without the Lord. And we know that even later David fell into a horrible sin with Bathsheba and had a man murdered. We need to stay close to God, close to his word, close to his church, where we can encourage one another lest we fall deep into sin. We need to pray that the Lord would help us all. Our flesh is truly weak. It is weak in all of us. And when you think about David, you think about what Saul fell into, and even Paul said, "O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from this body of death?" He hated his flesh. We need to hate that about ourselves and our flesh. And we had a good scripture reading this morning that started out in Colossians chapter 3 about our flesh and mortifying our flesh. And boy, do we need to listen to that. It's a good way to start our scripture reading off today. I put my Bible marker there, and pray that the Lord might help us all to analyze our own spiritual walk and our spiritual condition, that we may realize that we too can fall into sin if we let our flesh rule our hearts and our minds. And pray for one another. Remember to pray for those that aren't here with us. Pray for Randy and Kelly, and pray for those that have been missing, and those that are sick, of course, and pray that the Lord would bless. Let's be dismissed in prayer. Bubba, would you dismiss us?